Heyo! So today we're going to do some more of the Learn to Watercolour book, which is a 20 step-by-step beginner-friendly lessons on watercolour paper. This is by Lacey Walker of Rebel Unicorn Crafts, who is a fellow YouTuber, but I didn't know that when I bought the book. I just saw the book and thought it looked cool, because the book comes with everything you need to, without, not the paint obviously, but it comes with the pre-drawn watercolour paper, so you just have to find what you're working on and then follow the instructions. So today, I'm a little nervous. We're doing this one, Birds of a Feather. So I'm very nervous how this is going to go, because this looks very above my abilities, but we are going to give it a go anyway. Keen eyes of you who are watching weekly will know that this one is late. It's war show season for me here, and so I've got a little behind on doing things, but we are hopefully going to catch up. We will see. So I pre-prepped some of the colours, as she says, but it is very, very hot in here at the moment, so my paints are drying out fast. So we're just going to hope this is going to work. So step one, apparently we're starting with the blue jay, which looks to be this. I don't know birds, but we're starting with this one. And she says, wet the head, body and towel, clean water, gloss or satin stage. But we are to leave a bit of a gap underneath the wing. So trying to make sure I leave that gap that it says. So yeah, I do recommend grabbing this book. It has been very good for me to learn how to paint, and it's making my paintwork not look terrible, which is a miracle in itself, quite frankly, because watercolour is something very, very new to me. So I did acrylics and oils before. This is a very different technique. Okay, so we're taking the Parisian blue, which for me is just winging it on what blue, because obviously none of these have names. Okay, so it looks like we've got to just take some and drop it top of the head, base of wing, and along the tail, and then let it kind of flow. So hopefully I got it wet enough. Along the tail. Not sure I got it quite wet enough for the dropping, but and again, these blues might be not quite what she's asking for. I'm just winging it. And I want a little bit of grey on the back of the neck, and then dilute the grey down close along the beak and the chest and the belly. Okay, so bit of grey here, and then dilute it a bit more along the belly and the beak. Now the blue's flown into it. Never mind. It's not too bad. I may have diluted it a little much. I don't know, hers does look pretty light. It looks like she goes in with a slightly darker as it dries a bit, I think. I think she has it dark up there, but what I think I'm going to do, she only uses one colour, blue, but I think looking at a picture, My blue is slightly off. I think I can get away with adding an extra bit of blue in for these bits to give the lighter colour. Just trying to spread that around a little. My paper is still buckling up, as you can probably see, so I still can't work out how you stop that buckling. But I think we're sort of getting there. Gone outside the lines a little on that, but I'm discovering that's not necessarily a bad thing. You don't have to stay within the lines 100% with watercolour because it's artistic license. But I think I need to clear off some of the water here because it's just too much. Let me grab tissue a minute. Just gonna dry my brush a little. Just try to clear off because it's just spreading a little more there than I like. There. Now give me a bit more control because there's not quite so much water on, and I can get these sharper points that she has on the head here. So have you been enjoying this series? Because it certainly looks like people have been enjoying it. Just adding a bit more colour to the top of the head there. Draw a little more out there. Hoping you can see it okay. I know it's still a little wet, but as it dries, hopefully you'll see the colour. But I think I've left too big a gap here. I'm just going to spread that grey a little further up under that arm. There, like that. And then just a bit of a darker along the edge. I don't think she comes back and does quite so much touch up, but I think that's because she knows what she's doing more than I do. But I'm enjoying learning. There. What do you think? Want a little darker dot here just for the eye. There. Maybe a tiny little darker just on the underside of the beak there. There, that gets a little more shading to the beak. What do we think? It's not terrible, I don't think. Get my brush a bit clean. Right, so the next one, looks like we're doing this bird. Apparently these are fancy birds, not Pacific birds, so we can have a little playroom of how we want to do it. But I'm going to do very similar to what she's done because I think that's going to be better. So she's done like grey up here, some yellow here, and some red here, and then some deep purple here. Yeah, let's just copy it. So let's do some grey first. Oh, I should get the bird wet first, shouldn't I? so that it spreads. Yeah, now we get some grey. And just kind of dot it on, encourage it to. So it's done. Kind of heavy on the grey up on these bits and into the beak. A little bit dark on the beak, I think. Maybe not that dark. And a little dark up on the top of the head. Now she's got some nice little shading around here to give the shape of the arm. I might have to let that dry to, because it's spread. I don't know, it's not too bad. And in this heat it'll dry in no time anyway, so if you're in the UK, how are you coping with this heat? And I know a lot of people say, you know, it's not that hot. Trust me, if you live in the UK, you'll realise that we are not built for this heat. This is not how we survive. I just want a much darker concentration just for the eye there. There, on that. Okay, so I pre-mixed some of the colours she said earlier. So I think we'll start with the yellow here, which is not supposed to have orange in, but it's leaked over because I still can't work out how to stop my stuff from leaking. There. Oh, yellow breast. That's gonna change into this red orange we got here, along here. Gonna make sure it doesn't spread onto the branch here, because obviously we don't want it spreading into the branch. The bird is not morphing into the branch. This is not AI. And that was spread and blend a little more there. Let's do a tiny bit more of the yellow. Ooh, that was way too much water. Take some of that off. Add a bit more of the yellow back. There we go. That gives them more blend. I don't want a solid yellow to red sort of thing. I want a stronger blend in it. There. Change the harsh line on that grey as well. We want that to kind of blend in a little. There. On the camera it always looks like a harsher line than it looks in real life, so if you're seeing a really harsh line, I promise you it's really not. It's a much gentler thing. Well, too much water there. Take some of that off. Just trying to give that a darker tone, but take some of that water off. There we go. It's under the branch. It's going to be a bit dark. A bit darker, isn't it? I say that like I know what I'm on about. I really don't. I understand the basics of light and depth and shade and all that lot. But when it comes to doing of watercolours, it is very different because, you know, with acrylics and oils, if I needed a white spot, I just paint white on it. Which is not really how it works with watercolours. You kind of have to save the white and work around where you want it white, rather than adding white to it. I think there are white watercolours, but I don't think they work quite as well as acrylic and oil that I've seen so far. Not 100% sure. As I said, I'm still learning how it all works. Just trying to give this a slightly more solid line on the edge, but not have it too solid, so it's still spread out, if that makes sense. So I'm still doing war show season at the moment, so paintings could be a little sporadic for a bit, depending on how much time I get to do things in between, because I have to replace what I sell, dye up new yarn, make new stitch markers, all that sort of stuff. So I'm doing this in between the shows. We'll just have to see how much I can get done. So it might be that we get another week and then another couple of weeks off or something. I don't know. We'll have to go. But do keep checking back because they will continue. For the rest of the year, I have planned for more watercolour. So just keep checking back and it will come. Right, so I think that one's mainly done for the minute. And so for the final bird, she's done concentrating a Payne's grey on the tail, wings, permanent yellow on the head and belly, and let it dry or make it dry. So grey and a yellow. Let's do the yellow first, I think, because otherwise I'm gonna muddy up the thing too much. Oh, I didn't make it wet first, did I? Oops. See, I'm forgetting things already. Again, not something you have to do and worry about with oil and acrylic, is remembering to make it wet first. So something I'm still struggling with, but I will get there. And it is fun. I'm thoroughly enjoying doing this. It's just taking a little getting used to making sure I get everything done in the right order, that sort of thing. Because there definitely very much is a order to watercolour. There's an order to all painting, but watercolour's order is, I think, much more important. Because it's so easy just to overpaint with oil and acrylic. Whereas it is most definitely not that easy to do with watercolour that I've seen anyway. There's probably people who can. I'm not one of them. I think. And then just done the rest in grey. And we still want a bit of the grey up around the top of the head, kind of blending into that yellow. And then that yellow is kind of blending into the grey down here, sort of thing. Do the beak. I'm not sure I quite got it wet enough when I did that, so I'm just going to add a bit more of the yellow here. Just trying to stop a harsh line forming. You know, we want it to kind of blend. And I want a stronger line of that yellow just up here. I think I could do taking a little bit of the border off before adding the stronger yellow. And there, I think that's a little better. I think I want a darker down here because this is quite in shadow looking at that one. I think I want to try a little more dark in here to make it a little more matchy, because I think I went a little dark there. I want very dark for the eye, a little more depth in the beak there. Let's spread this around so we don't get too dark. I'm gonna try just to lift a little bit of this colour up here. I think I went a little too dark. We can add a bit of water and then lift that water away because it's still not 100% dry, and I think that will put it out a bit. Yeah, I think that looks a little better, doesn't it? Not quite as dark. I think I need to spread that yellow a little more, so I think I'm just gonna try to lift the darkness off here a little and put a little more yellow in there because I think it's the darkness is spreading over too much. Does that make sense? I don't want too much, just encourage a little more of the lighter to spread out. A bit like that. There we go. What do we think? Just trying to get all these areas. Don't want it too wet because I don't want it spreading too much. I just want to encourage some more colour into it. I think as it dries it's going to get a little paler. Yeah. Now, what do you think? Right. So then we got to do these branches. Fill your brush with a watery burnt sienna, about 50% saturation. Paint the branch. Once it's all wet around the gloss satin stage, put some grey at the tip of your brush, lightly touch along the bottom. So burnt sienna and then grey shadowing basically. And then once it's dry, some more grey, very little water. Go over the beak and the eyes and the beak and the birds to add final details. Okay, so what did we discover? I think we worked out this one was closer to my burnt sienna, didn't we? It looks a pretty good branch colour. It's a little orange. Let's try all of this. Maybe I mix the two. That's quite orange, isn't it? Don't want it too orange. Not brown here, let's add a drop of brown. Right, and mix that. I know she says burnt sienna, but her burnt sienna I think is definitely a proper burnt sienna where mine isn't, so it's kind of mixed up a bunch of colours to get it right, I think. That possibly looks right. Let's try that, shall we? Try not to rest my arm on that bird because it's not dry yet. I could grab my heat gun and make it dry, but it just doesn't seem much point in this heat, and I really don't want to add any more hot or any more heat into this room because it is sweltering in here already. Haven't been able to stream for a month because it's just been too hot in here while I'm filming. If it gets too much, I can take a break and go and find a cooler part of the house. But streaming, it's not that simple to do. So I've not streamed for a while. So we're just gonna have to wait and see when the heat drops down when I can get back to streaming and my more regular film content once the war show's over. If you're new here, I run a hand-dyed yarn business, multiple other craft stuff, but the main stuff as I do is hand-dyed yarn, and I sell that at war shows. And then my husband makes me crochet hooks, though I help with that. If you've seen my recent videos of sanding some resin hook handles, we make wooden ones and resin ones, but I haven't filmed making a wooden one because they're done really quickly, so Duncan tends to do them all in one go, whereas the resin ones take longer, so he tends to shape them and then I sand them while he's doing his proper 9-to-5 job. So there's videos of me sanding the hooks. But yeah, so during the summer months there's a lot of war shows and I do quite a few of them, so it means that this time of year is harder for me to stream and film because I'm just so busy doing the war shows. Then add in this heat wave we're getting and it's a whole different set of problems. They've just painted over the drawing of the feet because it's watercolour, you can see through anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then I can paint them back in once they're dry, which quite frankly will not be long. Because these ones obviously I didn't pre-wet because I don't want it to spread too much, so these are drying faster than the bird is. Still not 100% happy with this colour, but we'll see how it dries. And once we've got the grey along the bottom, it might look better anyway. So if you've been watching this series, what's your favourite paintings so far? Not necessarily the favourite one I've done, because, you know, you might like something and you'd be able to do it better than I did it. But what's your favourite image? Duncan seems to be the sunset with the wispy grass-like plant things. He really enjoys that image. And I do very much like that image, but I think every time I look up on my wall, which is where I've put all of these paintings, the wow draws my eye. I think because I just feel like I did a reasonably good job on it. better than I thought I was going to do. And I think that makes it one of my favourites, just simply because I was able to do it when I didn't think I'd be able to. I'm hoping these birds will have the same effect eventually, once I get it done and stop noticing all the flaws, you know. I'm going to mix up a tiny bit more of this colour, but I think we've got enough to get us going. Not get us going, get us finished. And that's my watch. I forgot to silence it. Sorry, people. One more here. And then we will use the grey to give the bottom shadow that she said about. It's got a little lighter in places because obviously I've been adding more water as I make that mix stretch. But it's not too bad, I don't think. So a little bit of this black. We don't want it too wet because we don't want it to spread too far, but we do want it to just give us a nice little shade shadow thing here. What do we think? My brush is a little thick for some of these smaller branches, but never mind. Where would the shadow be on this one? That side. It gave it a little more dimension there, didn't it? I still think I want a little darker just on that bit there. There, yeah. Do the same on here. Helps if you stay within the lines there. But again, doesn't matter. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is about just enjoying art for art's sake. We're not creating masterpieces. We're just enjoying the process. And I'm definitely enjoying the process, and I'm learning so much about how the paper reacts and the water reacts and the paint reacts. It's such a interesting learning curve, you know. So I'm probably going to do a slight wash over this once it's all dry, just to try to tie in my shading with my thing a little more. That probably should have been the other side, but never mind. We'll just keep the consistency and go that side. Don't think anyone's going to care too much that I got it the wrong side. Maybe there's something we can't see off screen causing an extra shadow, you know? We don't know, do we? And we can have it doing whatever we want. There. I'm just going to try to make this up a little bit more again, just to make that branch just a little darker, because I think it is a little light. As it gets lighter, it's looking more and more orange because I watered it down so much. So I'm hoping we just put a new mix on, a bit darker. It'll take it back to more brown than orange. I think it's dry enough just to go over and try to tie those bits in just a little bit more so that it's not such harsh lines, you know. Yeah. Don't know if this is the way you're supposed to kind of break up the lines if they form, but it works for me, and that's all that matters really, isn't it? That if it's working, that's all that matters. Just trying to encourage a less strict line there, because we don't want a straight line, we want the shadow to be going in and out of the nooks and crannies and the curves and the texture of a branch. A branch is not smooth, has a lot of texture. There. What do we reckon? So we just need to get a higher concentration of that black without too wet of a brush. Just to do some feet in here and here. I think this beak could do a little more definition there. It's kind of blended in. I think possibly this eye could do it a little extra because I think I accidentally blended it out a bit much when I was doing around the head. There we go. Okay. What do we think? Let's see if there's anything I've missed. Nope, that's the end of the instructions. So now I think it's just general touch up if there's anything you want to change. I think I'd like to do a slightly stronger, neater line around the edge of the wings to the body. Let's put that out. Just to give it a little bit more. Same here. Got the wing blending into the body a little too much, so let's just encourage a little more darkness along here to separate it off a bit, but then spread it out so it doesn't get too dark along that bit, you know. A load more shadows just under the branch on his towel there. I think I'd like a little more stronger line here. Not much, because we still want him to have quite a light belly, but just a little stronger. Then water that down so it spreads out without having too harsh a line. And then I think I'd like a little darker just up here. Just going along a little more colour and detailing. Just there, so it's a little stronger on colour, and then a little more of this lighter blue just in here to give some kind of hint of different variants of blue, not just one solid blue, you know, if that makes sense. There. I think that'll do. I don't want to overwork it. So what do you guys think of that? That will be dry and you'll be able to see it better in a second. I think this one's not come out too bad. I think I got a little dark around the eye, but I don't know if I can lift that and get more yellow in. It might be too late. As I said, this is something I struggle with, keeping the light. Yeah, I think I just make it worse by adding more in. Yeah, I don't think I can bring that back up a little lower at all, but it's not terrible. I think I brought it up slightly, I think. But I'm quite happy with that. That was fun. They're not as good as hers, because this is what Lacey's ones, you know. They're really, really lovely. But I don't think mine are terrible. What do you think? So, that's what we were going for. And that's what we got. I don't think they're that far off, are they? They're not terrible. I'm quite happy with that. It's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But, okay, so next we have... So next week, we are doing this. Birds of Paradise. It's some kind of flower, I guess. Which looks really pretty. So, that will be next week's. Again, hopefully I can film this one and get it done before next week, so you will see the next one next week. This one will go out this week. Of course it will, because that's when you're seeing it. That makes so much sense. So this one will go out on the dates. I'm trying to remember dates. Let me look at my calendar. So this one's going to come out on the 17th of July. And the Birds of Paradise, I should be able to get filmed between now and then. So it will come out on the 24th of July. The next one after that would be due on the 31st. But that depends on whether I have time to do it between the next wall show. Because I have another wall show. I only get a weekend off and then I'm back at it. So it's only 2 weeks apart. So it depends whether I have time to film a third between now and the next wall show, or just the second one. But do check back soon, and I will see you all soon. So you all take care. Bye.